Hi, everybody. I hope that you're well and that you are having a wonderful day wherever you are and whenever you're listening to this. Welcome to the Mandala Effect podcast. I am Roseanna. I am your host. It's with this podcast that I hope that I can in some way inspire you and encourage you to go out and step into your power and live the life that is available to you. So often we are sold lack, we're sold scarcity, we're sold that we're not good enough. The programs and conditionings of our childhood back this up. We then go and live the rest of our life believing that we can't have it all, that we aren't good enough for whatever it is that our heart desires, whether that be abundance or health or love, which we're going to be speaking about today. And that's just no way to live. That's not the truth. That's not the truth of how life is, how it's supposed to be. There is so much more available to you, and all you have to do is, I guess the first thing you have to do is understand that. And so that's why I have these conversations and bring you these conversations every week, so that you can hear it and you can get it drilled into your mind that you can have so much more than you have been told throughout your entire life. So welcome to this week's episode. And I'm going to be speaking about how you can fall in love with yourself and why it's important to fall in love with yourself. You know, you see it on the quotes on Instagram all the time. You're the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, so you better love yourself. And like, you can only love somebody to the extent that you love yourself. And you know, these are true, right? This is true. But seeing a quote on Instagram is not gonna make you love yourself. And in some ways, it can actually be it's not always the most helpful thing to see these quotes on Instagram and go, yeah, I'm going to love myself, because actually, um, because how is that, in some way, that can make you feel worse about yourself. Oh, look at all these people on Instagram. I don't love myself like they do. I'm not having, I don't feel that way about myself. And so what the ego will do, what the mind will do, is make you feel bad about that. It will make you think, so you then think, oh, I'm not good enough to love myself. I don't love myself. Instagram tells me I should love myself, but I don't know how to do that. And so we can actually end up feeling worse about the situation. So what I hope to do for you today is just give you an idea of how you can love yourself and how and how you can do that. And it's not getting in a bubble bath. I mean, if I could, I'd have 2 bubble baths a day. That doesn't mean that I love myself. I used to think that this is what self-love was. I used to think it was getting in the bubble bath, maybe with a glass of wine, and this is self-care. No. Getting in the bath with a glass of wine is not self-care, and like running away from everything and hiding and escaping and, drinking the bottle of and then getting out of the bath and drinking the rest of the bottle of wine. That's not self-care. Self-care isn't self-love and self-care. I'm just going to use them kind of interchangeably because they're a similar concept. But we are today talking about falling in love with yourself. And in order to do that, you have to care for yourself. So I thought that self-care was, it is exercising, it is keeping fit, it is keeping healthy, but it's not doing it from a place of fear. It's not doing it from a place of not being good enough. So I used to train for marathons, and I mainly did that to keep my body fit and in shape. And that was not a place of I love running marathons. It was a place of I have to achieve this. I have to look this way. I have to do this, and having this competition with myself, which I thought was healthy at the time, but it's actually not. Like, the stress that my body was under tells me that that was not healthy. So it's about so much more than the stuff you see on the surface. True self-love and true self-care is going deep, deep, deep within your mind, within yourself, within your soul, to learn who you are. You cannot truly love somebody if you do not know who they are. You cannot truly love yourself if you do not know who you are. And this is where self-love isn't pink and fluffy and bubble baths and champagne, and buying yourself flowers and doing all of these really nice things that the media tells you is self-love. It sounds a bit like consumerism, actually. But anyway, true self-love is getting to know the nitty-gritty parts of you and loving and accepting them, and understanding what you're seeing, taking responsibility for your life, stepping into your power instead of playing the victim. But self-love is not easy. It's not the fluff that you see. It is deeper, and it can be dark, and it can be painful, but it can also be light, magical, and beautiful. And you can't have one without the other. So you can't have the light without the dark. You have to have both. When you have both, when you see the light and you see the dark within yourself, this is when you can really step into wholeness, when you can really accept yourself for who you are, whole acceptance. And then you don't need validation from other people, because you have the acceptance of yourself within your heart. And that, to me, is what self-love is. It is getting to know who you are, every aspect of yourself, and I'll go into that more in a minute. Getting to know who you are, it is accepting and loving who you are and having deep compassion for yourself. You know, we entered into this human experience without a manual, and so we're learning the manual on the way. They say that an entrepreneur jumps and builds the plane on the way down. Well, that's what every human in existence is doing. We're born and we're figuring it out on the way. Has anybody got it all figured out? No. But what we can do is we can have compassion for ourselves as we go on this journey. And a little saying that I love, that I learned actually when I was learning a bit about EFT, emotional freedom technique, I think it's called. Anyway, tapping, something like that. EFT, and we'd tap, and then the last little saying would be, I love and accept myself deeply and completely. And that is loving and accepting every part of who you are. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Nobody's perfect. As much as we try to put across that we are perfect, nobody is perfect. So, how can you love yourself if you don't know who you are? Do you know who you are? Like, all of you. And I don't mean going traveling and finding yourself. I mean, you know, the backpacking thing where we go off, we run away and we find ourselves, and that's not what I mean. I mean, do you know your personality? Do you know who you are deep down? Do you know who you are in your very core? So when we're born as sort of a blank slate, but with some, I guess, ancestral programming that's within our DNA, within our energy. So we're kind of a blank slate, but we're not. You know, we have some of our parents' quirks and all of this. And then as we grow up, we form what is called an ego. And so this ego is our survival instinct. It keeps us protected, it keeps us safe, and it helps us to, you know, get through life. It's the ego is the reason humanity evolved. The human race is where it is today, because it kept us safe enough to keep evolving throughout millennia. And so what the ego does is it forms what we call a persona. So the persona is the mask that we show the world. I am a successful woman. I am independent. I am fiery. I am loving. I am caring. I am kind. These aspects of our personality are what we call the persona. So this is what we show to the world so that we're accepted by society. There are elements of our persona that get rejected. So when we are growing up, if our ego doesn't deem a part of our personality to be safe, we push that away. So that gets pushed into what we call the shadow. Now, the shadow doesn't mean bad. The shadow is not something to go, oh, my shadow, ooh, because some shadow work can be presented in a negative way, and it's not. Yes, it can be a bit painful because we have to sit and feel emotions that we don't always want to feel, but that's because we've labeled them as good and bad. That's because we've placed a judgment on them, and actually we don't need to place a judgment. There is no good and bad, there just is. This is how our reality exists, is because of polarity, because of positive and negative, but we're not going into a science lesson today. So we have rejected some parts of our persona that it wasn't deemed safe for us to have because it wasn't going to help us survive. So say like a shy, quiet girl, it wasn't safe for a little girl to speak her mind. So this then this aspect of opinion and of confidence can get pushed out into the shadow. So then growing up, this girl believes that she is shy, quiet, and kind of, just goes with the flow, doesn't really have an opinion, doesn't want to share her opinion. And then as she grows up, she is triggered by people who do share their opinion, and confident women, and maybe she really admires confident women, or maybe she is triggered by them and they annoy her because what she's seeing is a reflection of herself. So, and a reflection of her persona that her ego didn't deem safe for her to have, because it wouldn't have helped her be accepted within her family, within her community, as she was developing and growing and just being. And we can push things into the shadow throughout our adult life as well, but it generally happens as we are developing as children, and this is where patterns and conditionings come from. It is what the ego thinks will keep us safe. So this is how we get to know every aspect of ourselves. We see your reality, your external world, is a reflection of your mind. This is one of the most important things that you can understand when it comes to creating a life that you love and living a truly free life, is that your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. As within, so without. As above, so below. As below, so above. So this is one of the most important things that you can understand, and then you will start to really step into your power, because you will see where you are creating your life and where you can create change. So by seeing the triggers in other people, by seeing the triggers in other people, by seeing where you admire other people, and you understand that actually that's a part of me that I'm seeing in this person. So there are a few people that in the past I've put on a pedestal and that I've admired and I've loved, and then also they've had them on a pedestal and then they've come crashing down because they've in some way triggered me. And actually those elements, it's the same personality traits, but they've just triggered something in me because I'm seeing something of myself, and my ego doesn't think that that's safe. It doesn't think that it can, like, that trait, that aspect is not going to keep me safe. I can't have that. I don't want that in my life. So it annoys me, gives me a negative reaction, and I push it away even further. When actually, when getting to know yourself and learning to love yourself, if I see this element that has either pissed me off or that I admire, if I go, yes, that's a part of me, and sit with whatever comes up around that, I can then learn to love, accept, and integrate this part of myself. So I am becoming more of my true self and less of this mask that I show to the world. And as we step into the true self and as we learn to embrace our shadow, we really start to create almost from this blank state of the true self. We learn to create our life from power as the creator, rather than from the victim trying to stay safe and trying to stay small, which is what the ego is trying to do. So this is one of the most important, and I wish, hindsight's a beautiful thing, I wish I knew this years ago, because would I have experienced half of the traumas that I did? And I say trauma in inverted commas, because actually the true self, this true self, the pure awareness that we are, can never be harmed. And this is another really important thing for you to know when it comes to loving yourself, is that you are the true self. You are pure awareness in your very core. You are a spiritual being. You are an infinite being. And that can never be harmed. You are energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. So understanding that whatever is going on in your external world, whatever circumstances are happening outside of you, that isn't who you are. That's just part of this dream reality that we are living. So when I actually have just released an amazing meditation called Stepping into Pure Awareness, which helps you come back to the pure awareness that you are. And you can practice it every day, or you can practice it when you forget, and it will just help you connect with the power that you are, the power that you have within you. And again, when you can step into this pure awareness, this pure power, you can really begin to love, like, all parts of yourself. And the more you learn to love and integrate your shadow, the closer you become to being your true self and acting and showing up as your true self every day. This doesn't mean there aren't going to be triggers. This doesn't mean there isn't going to be things in your life, challenges that show up. But when you know that they're just lessons, you're always being given a lesson. We're here in the school of life. There are always going to be lessons. There are always going to be challenges. But when you can come to an acceptance of that, then again, power, creation, like, you take responsibility for your life into your own hands, and what you can create is incredible. I look at the life that I have built and that I have designed, and I am actually in awe of how I feel. I never knew that I could feel this way as a baseline, feeling, like having a positive baseline. I always thought that life was just going to be hard, and that, I was always going to be facing some challenge. And whilst there are challenges, me embodying this work and me helping others with this work and me understanding that who I am in my very core is love, is creation, is pure potential, is energy and infinity, me understanding that is helping me open my heart. It's helping me understand what it is that I truly love, understand how I really want to live my life. And then it's helping me overcome the little barriers that appear to be preventing me, but they're not. They're just the challenges that help you to level up. So by embodying this work, I really have changed my life, and I actually do love myself, and it's amazing. And in some of my videos throughout the last year, I've spoken a bit about this, because self-love, like, I didn't used to love myself. I like I was so hard on myself. I really didn't enjoy myself. I couldn't be alone. I couldn't listen to my thoughts. And I know people who experience this, and it breaks my heart that people have to experience this and that they don't understand that there is another way. Whilst the other way might not be easy, there is another way. And it all starts really with taking responsibility and understanding that you're a powerful creator instead of a powerless victim. But you're not encouraged to be a powerless victim, to be a powerful creator. We, as a society, are encouraged to stay in victim mode. Is it so that we can be controlled? I don't know. Is it so that I personally, I believe that it's just a part of our soul's evolution, that we learn how powerful we are and that we help create change within humanity. But yeah, it's just there is another way. Like, you can be happy, you can live a life with a baseline of positivity and see life, like the things that you want and desire, magnetized towards you. Like, that is possible. It is possible. It happens. Like, I'm seeing it unfold in front of my eyes every single day, which is why I'm so passionate about this. I've been through to the depths. I have faced death. I have questioned death. I have faced a complete identity change. Like, my whole identity of the long blonde hair and the the fit, strong body, like, that all fell away from me. Like, losing and the business that I had, the strong independent woman, that fell away from me. I had to let that fall away before I could come back to come back to basics and rebuild and step into my true self. But part of why I do this is because I don't want you to have to get to a point where you are so low that you can do this before you get to that stage. If you're just hearing nudges, whispers in your life that are saying something isn't right, we need to change, you can take on this work now. You can start to learn more about your shadow, learn more about how you want to live. Ask yourself, how do I want to show up in this life? What do I want my legacy to be? And not from an ego, I want to leave, like, I want millions and millions of pounds. Like, well, maybe you do, and maybe you need that to make your higher purpose happen, and that's okay. But you don't, like, but why? How do you want to live? How do you want to show up in this world? And who are you here to serve? And that is asking yourself these questions and really starting to step into what is possible for you. Is you're going to fall in love with your life. You're going to fall in love with yourself. You can't not, because you're coming from such a pure place that it's just one of those, it's like meant to be things. It's just perfect. And no, I had a really interesting conversation yesterday about toxic spirituality and toxic positivity, and people on Instagram selling the quote and saying, oh, you can have your dream life. And I'm a very strong believer that you can have your dream life. No, I do. I am telling you that having your dream life is not just about changing your thoughts and and having a vision board. Having your dream life comes from learning to love and accept every part of yourself, because really that is all that is yourself, and you are seeing yourself reflected back to you in your external world, and you are on a journey to get to know yourself. So let's learn to love her by learning more about your shadow and integrating those parts of you that you maybe don't love, and seeing where you can make change. Like, set goals aligned with your soul, aligned with your true self, rather than goals aligned with what society tells you want. Like that is where I was building my business based on what I thought I needed to be successful. And I probably since, well, yes, since recovering from cancer, and yes, um since sort of leaving London, I have understood like what makes me truly, truly happy, and where I wasn't giving myself that and allowing myself to have that. And the more you can do things for yourself that make you really happy. And this is where the surface level stuff comes in. This is where your bubble bath comes in. This is where your walks in nature come in. This is where, doing those little things to care for yourself every day will help you step into love as well. But while you're there, it's really important that you remain present with yourself, with nature, with energy. So while you're doing these things, it's important that you remain present and with your consciousness and with as being conscious, because that is a very different frequency from doing those things because you believe you need to do them to fall in love with yourself. So different frequencies there. So I just wrote down some notes, and I just want to check that I've covered everything, because this is like falling in love with yourself is a journey. It's probably a lifelong journey. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what happens at the end of life. I don't know. I don't know where we go. I don't know what we do. I have some ideas, but again, they're just ideas. We only know when we pass over, right? But for me, falling in love with myself and falling in love with life, and then being able to give that out into the world, like the energy that I have within me out into the world, because we're giving it out anyway. What type of energy do you want to give out? So if I can give out the energy of love from within myself to humanity, to consciousness, and help in some way, it all starts with me, and it all starts with you. And if we can do that, then I believe that that's a life well lived, if we can really truly learn to love ourselves and really truly learn to create our life from that place of love, rather than the place of fear which has been conditioned into us through no fault of anybody. Like, our parents didn't know they were conditioning us for fear. I'd like to say the media didn't know that, but I think they probably do. So learning to create from a place of love, create your life from a place of love instead of fear, will really, really make huge shifts. Like, it will, like, the surface level stuff will become easier, but also on a much, much deeper level, you are stepping into your power. You are becoming a really, really powerful being. And that's why I actually believe we're here. So, yes, number one is get to know your shadow, love, accept, and learn to integrate the triggers that you see in your outer world. When you begin to accept and love the parts of you that you see out there, the triggers will become less. Like, you won't be as triggered by those people that you are triggered by on Instagram, when you learn to see that they're just reflecting a part of me. And when you see those people that you really admire and you're like, oh, they're a part of me, I have that within me, then you start to see your power as well. So understanding that you are so much more. Number two is understanding that you are so much more than the stories that your ego is telling you. You are so much more than the trauma that has happened to you in your past. You are so much more than your external circumstances. When you can start to connect to your true self, to the power that you really are, then you can step into love, then you can create from love. And it all starts with taking responsibility for your life. So number three is take responsibility for your life. You are the powerful creator. So many people want to walk through this world as a victim, because that's what they've been programmed to do, and victimhood is safe, right? Victimhood means I get to blame other people for what's happening to me. But no, when we take responsibility and we like take responsibility for our own lives, then we start to take our power back. And this is the most important thing. Like, if I had, when I had cancer, if I had given my power over to the doctors, if I had given my power over to medicine and to the cancer, I would have, it might not have gone as well as it did. But instead, I knew that I was responsible for my life. I knew that I created my life. And I knew that I had to, in some way, explore this and explore how I was going to get through this. And I had that intention from the very beginning, that I have this intention that I am going to dictate what happens here. And whilst it was painful, and whilst I still lost my hair when I didn't want to, and I still had chemo, I still had surgery, I still had went through the cancer journey, I took responsibility to think, right, how else can I serve myself? How else can I help myself in this way? And that was one of the biggest acts of love that I could have ever given myself, is to take responsibility for what is going on here. Okay, I need to cut back all stress. I need to stop drinking any alcohol. And I basically went vegan. I changed my diet. I learned more about what I was putting in my body. I learned more, and it's funny because as I was just going through, as I was being diagnosed, I had realized I didn't want to run marathons anymore, and I started doing yin yoga, which a few years ago I did a yin yoga class and I absolutely hated it because it was too slow. But then I did my first yin yoga class. And this was probably one of the, a small step, but made a massive difference in my life, was this 1 hour yin yoga class. I cried throughout the whole thing. Just tears, because it was such a slow down. It was such an emotional release, and I wasn't used to that. I didn't even know I had cancer at this point. And it was a few days later I found out. So there's something shifted. The second I started to take responsibility for my life, something shifted. And now where I am today compared to where I was 2 years ago, I am so happy. I am seeing things that I am creating in my life that I would never have thought possible. It is just amazing. And it's not something I have ever planned. It's not something that I had written down on my goals list or in my vision board. But what I did know was that I wanted to fall in love with my life, and that I wanted to fall in love with myself. And that is what has happened, because I took responsibility and I understood how powerful I was. And, as time has gone on, I've learned more about the mind and energy, and there are things we can do with our energy. Feeling love in our hearts every single day will help you re-regulate your system for love. As love, you will radiate more love when you can feel it within your heart. I haven't really touched on energy today, but this is another way that you can fall in love with yourself, is just by bringing those feelings into your heart. But you can't. You have to get you have to get back to the base first. You have to come back to the true self. And when you get back to when you come to the true self, step into your pure being, and kind of understand that everything else is just a dream, and you come back to pure consciousness, and you create from that, and you feel the feelings of love within that. That is when you have the switch, and that is when you really create from this powerful place. So I will stop there, because otherwise this is just going to become far too much and complicated. But know that it is not complicated. There is a path that you can follow to fall in love with yourself. I can help you on that path. at the moment, so this is released on Sunday. On Tuesday, it is Valentine's Day, and this whole month for me, February, is like a month of love. It's my birthday, it's Valentine's Day. I love birthdays. I love celebrating myself. I love celebrating other people. It's a time when we really get to step into like the love for ourselves and the fact that we're here on planet Earth. So for the month of February, I have created a journey that you can go on, which is a mini self-love journey. So it's 2 sessions with me plus a month of contact with me. So 2 sessions with me on coaching, and I will take you back to your true self. We will uncover parts of your shadow. I will help you to integrate them. I will give you meditations and further learning to support you, and you will step into your true self, and we'll have a look at what you can create from that place. So that's 2 sessions over a month, and for that whole month you get email contact with me whenever you need it, as well as further learning and meditations that I've designed especially for this journey. So that is my offer at the moment. It's £444, and you can book through the link in the description below. It's an amazing journey, and then if you decide that you would like to take it further and go further, you get those 2 sessions for free. So that is an option available to you. But this mini self-love journey is a great way to get started on this path, and it will give you the tools to help you change your life. The link is in the description. I am gonna love you and leave you. I wish you the best Valentine's Day, and I hope that you can learn to realize your power, realize how you are one with pure creation. And when you can really start to step into that, you will see your life change. It will get amazing. Okay, I love you. Have a wonderful day.